Hey there, and welcome! Today we're going to supercharge your Python skills by adding two amazing functional tools to your arsenal. We're talking about moving past the basics to write some seriously clean, elegant code. So let's dive right in.
So you know the feeling, right? You've got a list and you need to do the exact same thing to every single item. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably a for loop. And hey, that works. But what if I told you there's a much slicker, more Pythonic way to get this done for a lot of common tasks?
We're going to be talking about map and reduce. I want you to think of these as specialized power tools for your coding toolbox. Each one is built for a very specific job, and once you get the hang of them, your code just becomes so much cleaner, way more concise, and honestly, a lot easier for you and others to read.
Okay, first up to bat is map. I personally like to call this one the transformer. Why? Because its entire purpose in life is to take data and transform it from one form into another. Simple as that.
All right, picture this. You've got a list of strings, something like 0, 10, 25. Now, you can't do any math with those, right? They're just text. You need to turn every single one of them into an actual integer. Well, guess what? This is the perfect job for our new tool.
So, here's the real magic of mapping. All it does is take a function and a list, and then poof, it automatically applies that function to every single item in the list. You don't have to write a loop yourself. It handles all that boring iteration stuff for you, totally behind the scenes.
And the syntax? It's super straightforward. Just map, function, iterable. But here's a really key detail you got to remember. Map doesn't just hand you a list back right away. It gives you this special map object, which is something called an iterator. Now, why does it do that? Well, it's incredibly memory efficient. It only calculates the values as you ask for them. Pretty smart, huh? Of course, if you want to see all the results at once, you just wrap it in listing.
Okay, time to put this to the test. Let's say we have a list of numbers, 1 through 5. We're using map with a quick little lambda function that just squares a number. So, what do you think the final list is going to look like when we print it out? Go on, take a guess.
And boom, there it is. See? Map just took our squaring function and went to work. It applied it to 1, then to 2, then 3, and so on, creating a whole new collection of all those transformed values. So clean, so simple, and just really effective.
All right, on to our second power tool, reduce. So, if mapping is our transformer, then reduce is the combiner. Its whole mission is to take a big list of things and just boil it all down to one single final value.
So now we've got a totally different kind of problem. We don't want to transform each item one by one. We need to combine them. Like multiply the first number by the second, then take that result and multiply it by the third, and keep going until you're left with just one number. This is exactly where reduce dot just absolutely shines.
And this really gets to the core of how reduce works. It's all about working cumulatively. So it grabs the first two items, applies your function, gets a result. Then it takes that result and the next item in the list, applies the function again. And it just keeps repeating this pattern over and over until there's only one value left standing.
The syntax looks pretty similar to mapdo, but there are two super important differences. First, you actually have to import it from the functools module. It's not a built-in everywhere like mapdo is. And second, and this is crucial, the function you give it must take two arguments. The first one is for the running total, the accumulated result, and the second one is for the next item in the list.
All right, you know what time it is. Another challenge. This time, we're using reduce with a simple lambda that just multiplies two numbers, x and y. We're feeding it that same list of numbers, 1 through 5. So what single value do you think is going to get printed out at the end? 120. So how in the world did it get there? Well, here's the play-by-play. Reduce took the first two numbers, 1 and 2, and multiplied them. That's 2. Then it took that result, 2, and multiplied it by the next number, 3, to get 6. Then 6 times 4 is 24. And for the grand finale, 24 times 5 gives us our one final result, 120.
Okay, so now we've got our two amazing tools, the transformer, map, and the combiner, reduce. The real trick, the real skill, is knowing when to pull which one out of the toolbox. So let's put them side by side and really break it down.
This comparison really makes it all crystal clear, doesn't it? Just look at the return type. With map, you get back another collection of items, the same number you started with. But with reduce, everything gets collapsed down into just one single value. And that really points to their main purpose, right?
Map is for transforming each thing on its own, while reduce is all about combining everything together, step by step.
So if you're going to remember one thing, let it be this. Map is a one-to-one transformation. If you put 5 items in, you get 5 transformed items out. But reduce is a many-to-one combination. You put many items in, and you only get one single result back out.
Okay, and this is where things get really cool. Because these tools are great on their own, for sure. But their true power is unleashed when you chain them together to create these beautiful, elegant data processing pipelines.
So let's take on a little two-step problem. We've got a list of strings, but they represent numbers, and our goal is to find their product. Well, we can't multiply strings, obviously. And we need to do more than just convert them. We actually have to do both things.
This is a perfect job for a pipeline. Step 1, we'll use our transformer, map, to do that one-to-one conversion, turning every single string into a proper integer. Then, for step 2, we take the result from that and feed it directly into our combiner, reduce, to do the many-to-one job of calculating the final product.
And here it is, the pipeline in action. I mean, just look at how clean and elegant that code is. The output from map just flows right into reduce as its input. We didn't need any temporary lists, no messy for loops. It's just a super clear, totally readable pipeline of data that gives us our final answer, 24.
So as we start to wrap this up, I want you to remember that every new thing you learn, every new concept you really master, is a permanent upgrade to your skills. It kind of reminds me of this quote from the great B.B. King. These tools, map and reduce, they are now officially in your toolbox for good. They're yours now, to use and to build amazing things with.
So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Now that you have the transformer and the combiner at your fingertips, where in your own projects can you go back and replace a clunky old for loop with one of these elegant data pipelines? What are you going to build with this? Happy coding!